Welcome to Deep Leadership with Jon Rennie, a podcast about leadership being a people business. Is that? Oh, no, that's not the podcast we're talking about. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Coach Brew podcast. I'm Coach Brew, your host. And today that's not it either. But those are two really good promos for our other podcasts. Hashtag shameless self-promotion. Welcome to the X Factor podcast. I am your co-host. Riding shotgun with me over there is our fearless leader, that guy right there, Jon Rennie, author of I Have the Watch.
Yes, sir.
Do you have the book there? You should be waving it in the air
subtly
and casually as I say
I have the watch.
Author of I Have the Watch.
Yes.
And as I say that, I don't even have my own book in front of me, but you can look over my shoulder and they're up there yonder.
It's one of the books that you wrote, Coach.
It's always nice when your co-host engages in hero worship with you and you're kind of like a mentor / God figure in his life. So thank you, John. But we are here for the X Factor podcast. Episode number, is this like number 7, Parker?
So this is actually number 9, I believe.
9. Got it. 9.
Yep. And we're talking about people, things, and creatures that have the X Factor. John?
Yes, John.
For new listeners, if you could enlighten them, educate them on what the X Factor is. Well, how would you define the X Factor?
The X Factor
for our new, soon-to-be P1 listeners.
Yeah, if you're going to be a P1 listener, that's someone that's got our podcast number 1 on your dial, right?
So shout out James Elliott.
James Elliott, who we got his name wrong last time. But
yeah, it's because I don't know jack about names.
You don't know jack about names. That's the problem. But James Elliott was our first P1, day 1 P1 fan, and shout out to him. But no, the X Factor is these are brands, these are people, these are companies,
places, things, critters in this case. But no, that are going above and beyond, that have done doing things that are separating themselves from the pack. And so in this podcast, we like to celebrate those people, those things, those bands, those brands that go above and beyond and that do something that separate themselves from the main pack. Absolutely.
So that's what we really want to talk about on this podcast. And that's why we get together every week to do this.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Who is this podcast fueled by?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of who it's fueled by, Coach. What are you drinking there, Coach?
This is hold your cup up, all of you. A 3-mug salute to the fine folks at Bottom Gun Coffee Company.
BottomGunCoffeeCompany.com. This is the best coffee in the world. It is made by and supported by Navy submariners. So they're all submarine veterans that are running this company, and they make darn good coffee, my favorite.
And you people need to understand one thing. So put your big boy pants on, sit down, shut up, pay attention right now.
Yes.
No such thing as an ex-submariner.
Right.
They are submariners. You're retired from the Navy, aren't you, John?
I got out.
But that doesn't make
retired,
but you're not an ex-submariner. You're a submariner for life.
I'm a submariner for life. Yeah. Once you earn those dolphins, they call it, that's your warfare pin, your submarine dolphins. Once you have those, you have them for life. So you are part of a brotherhood. They call it the Brothers of the Fin. So once you wear your dolphin on your chest, you're a brother for life, and now a sister for life. There are women on submarines now. So brothers.
All good things must come to an end at some point.
Nah, that's probably not a bad thing, to be honest.
I'm kidding. So yeah, you're never an ex-submariner.
No, so Bottom Gun Coffee.
Stick that in your trident.
Yeah. So look, I mean, it's a good coffee. It's my favorite. It's what I drink every day. Bottom Gun Coffee. And the people that know coffee are the people that are underneath the ocean protecting this nation. We drank a lot of coffee on board, so we know good coffee. We know bad coffee too. So
Awesome. Bottomguncoffee.com. Check them out. Go
Check 'em
over,
out.
follow them on Twitter at Bottom Gun Coffee.
yes,
So we are talking about critters that have the X factor.
animals have the X
Yeah.
factor.
Everybody
By the way,
loves.
we
Everybody
didn't
loves.
introduce our producer today.
Oh, I didn't see him down there. He's camouflaged.
Oh.
I was so awestruck by that freaking gorgeous hat he has on.
You love it? That's awesome.
It's beautiful. Where'd you get that?
Oh, I just I don't know, just this company sent it out to me for
Stalking
Christmas.
you? They're stalking you.
Yeah, and they sent it out to me for Christmas, and I just showed up at my doorstep, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?"
Yep.
Threw it on. I was like, "This is the comfiest thing ever."
It is.
It's a thinking cap.
ChinUpChestOut.com.
ChinUpChestOut.com. It's a thinking cap.
It really is. He's like, I think he gained like 75 IQ points just by wearing that hat today in our pre-production meeting. So yeah, awesome. It is a good look for you, Parker.
Thank
We're all
you.
wearing the gear, I noticed.
Everybody's representing today.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Kuko Nation.
Kuko Nation. So Coach Brew, we're talking about critters, animals, the things in the forest that have the X factor.
Yeah. Or maybe things down under that have the X factor, you know?
Or multiple down unders.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you had 3 vaginas, would you have the X factor?
Just
3. Yes, I would think so, Coach.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're talking about.
So do you know
what animal has 3 vaginas?
Do you know what animal has 3 vaginas?
I have no idea.
I do.
Enlighten us.
The kangaroo.
What?
But that is not why I think the kangaroo has the X factor. I mean, it's part of the reason. It's something that makes them unique in the marsupial and mammal community, but that's not the reason I think they have the X factor.
All right. I'd like to hear why you think they have the X factor.
Kangaroo is a pretty badass animal.
Yes.
You ever see boxing videos where a kangaroo is boxing and just beating the shit out of a human?
Yes.
Messing with it. And they can drop kick you with so much force it will shatter your rib cage and puncture your lungs. They're a badass animal. And you want to know why they are so it's kind of like the yin and the yang of the kangaroo. They're very badass. You don't want to mess with the kangaroo, yet it's all in the approach. And if you let the kangaroo approach you, it's very docile. It's very humble. It's almost like it's a people person without being a people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's sociable, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
But you need to let it approach you. So like life is on their terms. And you're a kangaroo. Everything's on your terms. And I think the biggest reason why, and if you hadn't figured this out yet, kangaroos fascinate me. The kangaroo is basically my personal mascot.
Okay.
And it's for one reason and one reason only. It's not because they have 3 vajayjays.
Let me guess. The fanny pack, an installed fanny pack? Is that the
pre-installed fanny pack?
I never thought of it as a fanny pack, but as someone who's very pro fanny pack, it's pretty cool, man.
Okay. I thought that was the reason. I thought I was onto it. But I guess
they are so unique in so many ways. And we'll break that down. But the number one reason why I think the kangaroo is the X factor, it's the only mammal on the planet that can't move backwards.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, actually?
Actually. This isn't me pulling your leg. You can go to my blog, ChinUpChestOut.com, click on blog. The most recent article is called Kangaroo Mindset.
Wow.
Kangaroo is my mascot for that one reason.
So it's always moving forward.
Not move backwards. Yes.
So it's always moving forward.
Yeah, and it can't like move its legs separately. They are not independent. They work in unison. They can only bound or hop.
I see.
Yeah,
but bound or hop, they do. They can go up to 35 miles an hour. Their bounds, like if you would call them, I don't know, you call them strides, but when they hop, they can cover 30 feet in one hop, one single
Wow.
bound.
Wow.
They're an amazing animal. And that is a big part of the reason why I think they have the X factor. Plus, they're badass, and literally everything is on their terms all the time. If they are being chased by a something that thinks it's a predator, the kangaroo, and I don't really know that the kangaroo actually has a natural predator, but something's chasing it, they run away and they run to a body of water. Why? Not because they can swim to get away even faster, but because they are luring that thought to be predator into the water where they drown it. And they just hold it underwater and drown it.
Really?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
They're
they
badass animals, man.
so they can be at one moment docile, and the next moment they can drown you.
Or drop kick you and crush your rib cage in one swift kick.
Cage.
Yep.
So that's so as you're an
I
entrepreneur.
mean, you see people like in the outback or at a petting zoo petting kangaroos. So
they can be friendly, but
yeah.
Interesting. So almost, I was thinking about like an entrepreneur, right? You have to have those two sides of yourself to be successful as an entrepreneur, right? You have to be super friendly to your customers. You got to be customer focused, and you've got to take care of the people. But when your competition comes around and tries to mess with you or mess with your business or mess with your customers, you got to be that kangaroo breaking rib cages.
You better shift from Boy Scout to bounty hunter real quick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you want to drag those competitors over to the water and drown them, basically.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that about kangaroos. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. So they symbolize progress. They're always moving forward. They're a humble yet advanced animal,
Okay.
And the reason I share that is like, think about what that means. The inability to move backwards. It's a subtle but powerful message, is it not?
It is.
Yeah. You're focused on the future. You're focused on what's in the windshield, not in the rearview mirror. People are, we're at the time of this recording, it's the beginning of 2021. Everyone's still writing 2020 on their checks. But like everyone was so eager, John, to say F you 2020. And I saw a lot of like New Year's Eve party signs that said, literally said F you 2020. Can't wait till 2020 is over. Did anything in the world really, or even just in this country or in your life or in your community, really change?
No.
From December 31st to January 1, other than it's 2021 on a calendar, nothing really changed. But people are, focused on the past and looking back and, that year sucked. Well, 2020 might've been the best year of my life in many, many ways.
I agree. Same here.
Published 2 books, launched an apparel brand. Like things went great. My physical health improved immensely. My mental health improved immensely. It was all in the middle of a 10-month pandemic quarantine.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like what you make of it, and like the refusal to look back and just move forward.
Kangaroo mindset. I love that. I love that idea. And so you said it's on you wrote a blog post about it. And is that something that you send out in your newsletters as well, Coach?
I will. If you go to coachbrew.com, you can sign up for my newsletter, and that will go out. Yeah,
that's a great story. Kangaroo mindset. I like that.
Yeah, but so many people are like looking at the scoreboard, watching the clock, focusing on regrets. That's moving backwards instead of only allowing yourself to move forward.
Okay.
Think about like how much more ground you could cover like a kangaroo if you didn't look back. It could be your best year ever this year.
I love that. That's great.
And the kangaroo, do you want to talk about kangaroo vaginas?
Not while we're on the subject, but I'm sure that at this point let's do it.
What so about the pouch, the fanny pack, if you will, as you mentioned it. So that's part of the whole kind of system. So when a kangaroo gives birth, it births the child out of that vagina up into the pouch that you always see, like the little baby kangaroo sitting in the pouch.
Yeah.
It births that into the pouch, and oftentimes will stay in the pouch for about 8 to 9 months until they're ready to kind of be out of it permanently. But here's the interesting thing. And I think kangaroos, because they're so scarce and rare, maybe evolution made this some sort of self-protection mechanism so that they're always kind of populating their world, that they have at any given point, they could have one in the pouch, one in kind of like,
Yeah.
they can be pregnant and have one in the pouch.
All right.
And they can pause that pregnancy until the oldest is ready to leave the pouch permanently, so the next one can enter the pouch. And
It's
while
like-
all that's happening, they've got a third one cooking.
No.
Yeah. Like an egg. They got the third one cooking, the little tiny little seedling or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And they got another one that's like partial term. And their body can pause the growth of that fetus. I don't even know if kangaroos, like, that might be a human term. I'm horrible with like biological terms. But anyway, they can pause that one's development until they've had the eldest sort of fly the nest and leave the pouch.
It's almost like a
Amazing.
handgun, like a semi-automatic handgun. You got some in the, you got one in the chamber and you got a bunch in the magazine.
There you go. That's what she said. But yeah, it's fascinating, like evolutionarily, how that even came to be. I'm not certain, but it's pretty amazing.
Did you know that kangaroos also use their tail like a third leg?
Fifth leg.
Well, fifth leg. They got little, don't they have like little T-Rex front legs?
They do, but sometimes they put them on the ground, like when they're grazing.
Right. Okay.
But when they want to stand up,
Yeah.
they use that tail, which is incredibly muscular, to do exactly that. Yep.
Yeah. Like a
And
fifth leg.
also when they're running, it serves as a balance when they hop.
Yeah.
Makes them more efficient. Here's the amazing thing about kangaroos. Among all the vaginas and fifth legs and like among all this stuff, here's what I think is the most amazing thing about them. And also beyond the fact they don't move backwards, why I think they really have the X factor. It is the only mammal, not only that cannot move backwards, but it's the only mammal that becomes more efficient and expends less energy the faster it moves. Think about that. Like if you're jogging, you're expending less energy than if you're sprinting, right? And we can only sprint for a limited duration. The faster that thing moves and the more ground it covers per bound, the more efficient it gets. And it's not like huffing and puffing like we do. When it is when its system is kind of most taxed is when it's laying down and it's breathing to kind of sweat and recover. Its heart rate accelerates when it's stationary. It's the most counterintuitive thing, but I think it's so cool.
Wow.
Like imagine being that efficient as a human. Like the faster you move, the more stuff you got going on, the more efficient you are.
I believe that is the case with very successful people, is that the busier you are, the more I think you can get done and the more effective you are. I think it's when things slow down and you get lazy and I'll put it off for tomorrow, you become less efficient. So I think the winners amongst us, I think, are the ones that are making a difference, are the ones that become more efficient the more they get done. I know I'm more effective the busier I am, and I always have been that way. And so I think could be true with entrepreneurs and business leaders as well, too. You could become more efficient the faster you move.
Absolutely. And I have to give a tip of the cap on this one. This has always been my favorite animal, but what really prompted me to think more about this and dig in a little more, like I just watched a kangaroo documentary on Christmas. Because I was talking with
what
one
did you
of my
do on your Christmas break?
Exactly. Yeah.
Documentary.
So I was talking before Christmas with one of my former players when I was coaching at St. Andrews University. And, he had just bought some chin up, chest out merch. He sent me a picture this is the picture I sent you, John, of the guy leg pressing 1,000 pounds, the gym. the big beard.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He's got the hat and the shirt. Anyway, he had texted me. He's like, I love the slogan, move forward for chin up, chest out. And that's going to be my focus phrase for the year. It reminds me of that pregame talk you gave us about kangaroos in 2002.
Oh wow.
So 18 years later, this guy still remembers one of my pregame talks. It was right after we had just lost a couple games, and kids on the team are kind of down, negative, and like thinking about, like, oh boy, losing streak, and we imploded the last minute in the last game. Like, they're thinking about the past. So I hit him with the whole kangaroos can't move backwards thing. Fiery pregame speech. We went out and beat our opponent. And I think that really probably set the trajectory for the rest of that season. Like, we just didn't look back.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a good reminder. And as a leader, like, that's heartwarming, because you always wonder what messages actually stick and like who's paying attention. 18 years later,
Still
remembers that and loved
That's
it.
awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So shout out to Sean Jursick.
Nice. Move forward. That's the kangaroo method. That's the kangaroo's philosophy, right? That's his lifestyle. And it's also the lifestyle of chin up, chest out, move forward.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So you had a certain critter.
Yes.
That has the X factor in your mind.
So I chose.
Owl, be quiet, and I'll let you explain.
Oh, who was I thinking of?
Owl, be quiet.
Who was I thinking of? That is the owl. And in fact, I want to talk about the snowy owl.
Is it the snowy owl or the snow owl?
No, it's the snowy owl. So we're going to talk about the snowy owl. And it has lots of other names. It's also known as the Arctic owl, the ghost owl, the Scandinavian night bird, the great white owl. What?
Ain't that a hoot?
I know. The white terror of the north. And it's also known as the ookpik. But so this is an amazing animal. And the reason I want to talk about it is I was at grouse camp. I go bird hunting every year up into northern New Hampshire near the Canadian border. And
wasn't that your nickname in high school, the White Terror of the North?
I just had one friend call me that, but I don't like to talk about it. So I go hunting every year, and we hunt for what's called rough grouse, which are, they call them thunder chickens. They're a very loud bird, but the way we hunt is we hunt like 4 or 5 hunters are walking through the woods at the same time. We have 2 dogs working in front of us, and that's how we find the birds, and we launch them. And
just like you see Elmer Fudd doing those Bugs Bunny shows, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
You have the same hat with the flaps and everything?
I do, actually. Yeah. For the cold days, I do have the flappy hat. So we're going out in the woods, we're hunting, and we what we typically do is whenever we hear a bird, we yell bird, and then we talk in the direction it's going. So if it's flying towards me, someone will say bird, John. So everybody knows, okay, the bird is launched and it's flying this way. So we are walking through the woods and I hear bird, John, and I look up and it's a giant snowy owl. It has a 5-foot wingspan, completely white. And the funny thing about it is I didn't hear it. It was completely silent, 5-foot wingspan.
Completely white.
But I couldn't hear it. It was completely stealth. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen in my life.
And up north like that, you probably barely see it because everything's completely white. You got the white mountains, the birches.
Yes.
You got all the snow on everything else.
Yes.
Man, talk about camo.
It was completely amazing. And that's the thing, like the one thing that stood out is how silent it was. And my brother, of course, pulled up his gun and he almost shot it. And we were like, no, don't shoot. It's a owl, right?
It would look awesome stuffed and mounted on your desk behind you, though.
I think they're
like take that plant down and put a snowy owl there.
Yeah. Fair. So anyway, can you remember a movie where there was a snowy owl in it? Parker, come on, you must know one movie where the snowy owl.
Wait, isn't Polar Express? Doesn't Polar Express have like a snowy owl in it?
Oh, you're close, but no. There's another movie with a train though.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it though.
Okay, it's Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
he brings the message. The owl, he has a pet owl, and its Hedwig is a snowy owl, and it's his whatever buddy that brings him the message, tells him that he is a wizard, in fact, a wizard. So what I want to talk about, the reason why I like, owls, mostly because of this particular interaction I had, is that I didn't realize how unusual it was for me to run into a snowy owl. They are mostly located in the Arctic. They operate in the tundra, but it just so happens that their range, if you will, goes a little bit into northern New England, so northern Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont, but very little.
Greta and I blame climate change on that.
I believe it is climate change. That's the reason. So I think it was very
How
rare.
dare you?
Dare you?
Aren't they pretty aggressive?
Yeah, so they are no, not unless you. It's almost similar to the kangaroo in that, and if you get after them, they get after you. So they're very territorial. So, but the one thing I wanted to talk about them specifically is the stealth part of it. So they have the ability to be extremely quiet, and so they sneak up on their prey. They not only have like really good vision, like most birds of prey have great vision. They have great hearing. They actually fly close to the snow, and they can hear animals underneath the snow, and they can actually dive in with their talons, and they can bring out their prey 8 inches below the surface. So they can actually grab, and their favorite prey is actually a lemming, which is like a mouse-like rodent. And they eat up to 1,600 lemmings a year by flying over the snow and just diving into the snow and grabbing them out of the snow. So I just think that they're an amazing animal, and they're fully adapted. They're actually the heaviest owl of all.
They would have come
the
in
owls.
handy before the election.
Yeah.
A lot of lemmings.
We had a lot of lemmings in the election. But so they're actually
I just read something about the snowy owl while we're doing this. I have to tell you, this impresses me. They've been known to attack Arctic wolves.
Yes. Yeah.
When the hell have you ever heard of a bird attacking a wolf, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they can be very, they like their lemmings. Apparently that's their main dish, but
they don't have 3 vaginas, but they sure do have a big pair.
Yeah, they do.
They attack a wolf.
Yeah. Wow. Well, they've got these talons, and of course they have a hooked beak where they can grab fish. They can, they tear apart their prey. But I just really thought something about, again, being a former submariner, the idea of stealth. And
you just said former submariner.
I'm a submariner, but I haven't been on a boat in 25 years, so it's hard for me to say.
Right after I gave you all props about you're never a former, you're never an ex-submariner, you're a submariner for life.
I'm a submariner for life, but we use
stealth. That, Parker. Clip it. This is.
But think about it. We use stealth to be effective, right? There was no target that we couldn't hit because of the way we operated as a submarine. And the same thing is with the owl. He is operating on stealth. And, think about the companies that really, and entrepreneurs and people that sort of sneak up on you. And all of a sudden you realize that you're getting beat by your competition. You're getting beat. So there's a lot of people that are very public and very outspoken, and, they trending on Twitter. And then there's those people that are just killing it, and they're quiet about it, and they use stealth to be able to beat their competition. And I just think the snowy owl represents the stealth mode of the animal kingdom.
I just want to add in, before we started this podcast, you were talking about how on your other podcast,
yes,
you were talking about how you've only had it for a year.
Yes.
And you've been very humble about it. I didn't even know this. But you had said that you're like, it's crazy to think that I've honestly been very just having fun with it, just enjoying the time, and then next thing you know, I have 10,000 downloads within the first year.
Yeah, my other podcast, Deep Leadership, is a year old now, officially this month, and we've got 10,000 downloads, and we've had 50 episodes, and most of those are with guests. I think we've had 40 guests. But 10,000 downloads, listeners in all 50 states and 48 countries, which who knew?
13 genders.
Yeah, there is a large group of people that are they're not selecting male or female that listen to me, and I don't know why.
You're a man of the people, all kinds of people, John. What was that nickname for the snowy owl again? The what of the North?
The white terror of the North.
White terror of the North.
Yeah, yeah.
Genus and species Buboscandicus.
Yes.
Snowy owl.
The snowy owl. They can live for about 10 years, 5-foot wingspan. They're 2.5 feet tall. And this is interesting. They weigh about 4 pounds, and they're the heaviest of all the owls, and mostly because they have extra feathers for insulation. And if you ever see their talons, their feet, they look like Ugg boots.
Oh, they're hipsters?
They're covered,
they're
covered with fur. They're boots with the fur. They are covered with insulation on them.
They're not hipsters. They're like the original white chicks.
They are the original white chicks.
Uggs,
Very
yoga.
white.
Do they wear yoga pants and infinity scarves?
Maybe in the movies. I don't know. But speaking about white terror of the North, the males, they are more white than the females. And the older the males get, the whiter they get. So there's got to be something there.
Self-preservation, camouflage, right?
Right. Anyways, that's I like them. Again, having experience being around one was remarkable, and just the fact of such a big animal moving through the woods so quietly, just it was literally shocking. It was something I will never forget that, and the fact that we didn't shoot it was a pretty good thing that day.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned they tend to exist in the Arctic. I started to look around. They've been spotted in Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
Like in Maryland, and at times as far south as Texas or Florida. And I don't know what would cause a snowy owl to migrate down there, but it's just pretty amazing.
Yeah,
maybe the versatility of that thing. Yeah,
maybe the taxes are lower.
Definitely. Yeah, no state income tax, Florida or Texas. It's smart. They're probably also in Tennessee, for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So shout out to those enlightened states.
Yeah, so a kangaroo can only move forward. A snowy owl is using stealth to be victorious.
X factors.
These are X factors. These are animals with the X factors. I like it.
Sweet.
I learned a lot today, Coach Brew. I didn't know about the always move forward part of it.
Yeah. Or the 3 vaginas, did you?
I didn't know about the 3 vaginas. I have to say that was impressive fact.
Two impressive animals, very unique in their own right, and they both have the X factor in different ways. That's pretty cool, and we managed to somehow relate all of that to entrepreneurship.
Yes, and leadership.
Another thing that I got to add in is that both of the animals that you all chose aren't like, when you think, like, when people think, oh, like, what's your favorite animal? Like, what's like the animal that stands out most to you? It's like lions, tigers,
a unicorn.
Bears. Yeah, like, I don't know, horses or something, like like very common
dogs,
animals. Yeah, very common animals. And I think the biggest thing with this podcast is to be different. And those are two very different animals that people probably wouldn't have even thought of. So just throwing
absolutely.
It out
there. Yeah, no, very unique. You're either different or you're invisible today.
Yes.
Cool. John, where can people get more information about this podcast?
Well, this podcast is the X Factor podcast. It is on YouTube. We have a social channels. We are actually on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We are soon to be on Facebook. But all of our, you can find everything at the xfactorpodcast.com, correct, Parker?
That redirects you to this podcast page.
Right.
And all the links will be in the comments below.
Yes.
And then Parker, give the newbies, the people who maybe are like P3s, P4s, who aren't quite as enlightened as James Elliott and our other P1 listeners, give them their marching orders and what they need to do to graduate up to becoming a P1, which is the expectation we have for all of you.
First off, like it, subscribe, and then comment. Even if you absolutely just want to trash us, still throw that comment in there. We love it. We want the roast. We want everything. Anything, everything. Any comments. We'll even talk about it. We'll bring it up. We'll discuss it. But I would say, actually, most importantly, share it. Share on every social media. Share it with your friends. Let them hear it. Let them roast us if they have a problem with us. We got thick skin. We're not too worried about it. If anything, it'll boost us forward. We love hearing it. So
Jon Rennie, fun fact, does have incredibly thick skin. He recently had a dermatologist appointment, and they explained that he has the skin. He's like a human Tyrannosaurus Rex in terms of his skin, or like a rhinoceros. Very thick skin. He's like a genetic freak in that regard.
Yes.
Well, I think it's from working with a nuclear reactor or something on the submarine. That's what
crawling
happened.
in like the torpedo tubes with nuclear weapons will do that.
Yeah, so it's like evolution. I've just grown thicker skin. Actually, it's probably being around other submariners that gives you thicker skin. So they tend to be tough on you.
Charles Darwin's very proud of you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So that's the X Factor podcast. And you want to learn more about me or John, you can go to jonsrennie.com or coachbrew.com.
Yes.
And all those links, all that stuff will be in the comments. We are going to sign off now and just tell you to be different or be invisible, because that's how we roll. This has been the X Factor podcast. Catch you in the next episode, which I believe is going to be episode number 10.
Take
10,
care.
Parker?
Yep.
Number 10's next.
10.
Tierra del Fuego.
Take care.